Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and we're doing another outfit guide. Today we're going to be doing Eli McCullough, or Pierce Brosnan's character from the TV show The Sun. And we're going to be looking at his Season 1 outfit, or at least the most iconic one I could find. Because again, like a lot of these guides, especially when we're dealing with TV shows, there are multiple outfits he wears, and he wears different hats, and he wears different boots and things like that. So I'm just sticking to the one outfit, and I think I was able to match it decently well. And obviously this show takes place a little bit further than we are in in this game. It's set in 1898. This show takes place in the early 1900s, I'm not sure, 1910s or 1920s. It's pretty early. I think it might be in the 1910s. But the guns are going to be a little bit newer. A lot of stuff from the show is going to be a little bit newer, but the style is still pretty similar, so we're able to imitate it pretty well in here. So, like always, we're going to start off with guns, and it's not going to be a perfect one, but I think we do a pretty good job of imitating them. All right, so the first gun we're going to be trying our best to imitate here is going to be a Winchester model 1907, and that's what it exists in real life. I'm using the Evans repeater to try to imitate it. Most of the people in the show, or at least this one is one that you see a lot in the show, and obviously Eli McCullough, or Pierce Brosnan's character, uses this one a lot. Like I said, we obviously don't have anything that even looks remotely like that in this series. I guess if I was going to pick something that looks the closest just appearance-wise, it would be the Lancaster repeater, but just obviously without the detachable box magazine, because it's got the same basic shape to it, but it also holds a decent amount of rounds and everything, so I figured balance-wise and performance-wise, I think the Evans repeater is this is a good place for it. Now, you could also make the argument that maybe the carbine repeater would be better because it's got that same really fast reload speed that you would get with the detachable box magazine. It's the same sort of thing as shoving it in the stock for the carbine repeater. It's just that, like I said, I think performance-wise and general appearance-wise, barring the detachable box magazine, I think the Evans repeater is probably the closest. And the way I went with it was no wrap, no scope, no engraving, no carving. I went with the mahogany varnish, and then I did all black and steel, and it looks a lot like the guns they used in the show. Like I said, it's not perfect. I could see arguments for the Lancaster, I could see arguments for the carbine repeater, but I think this one is probably the best option for both the feel of the gun and the way that it performs, and also just generally speaking, the look of the gun. So that is why I went with this one, to imitate his Winchester model 1907. So then the next one is also not going to be perfect, because in the show, Eli's character is actually using a Colt M1911, and actually, the one that he's using in the show is actually a 1911 A1, which wouldn't actually exist until 1924, which is actually 9 years after the show takes place. So he would have, if he was using this at the time, it's possible for him to have the original model M1911, but it wouldn't be the A1 variant, and if he had it, he would obviously be very rare because it had just come out when the show takes place. So we don't obviously have that in the game. If we had, from the story mode, the Colt, I think they have the 1901 variant, but they call it the 1899 variant. Whatever the case is, that would obviously be closer, but we don't have any of those in online. So the best option we have for online is to use the semi-auto pistol. It's not perfect, but it's the closest we can get. It performs about the same, has a similar recoil, holds about the same amount of rounds, and we can design it to look similar. So this is what we have to go with. The other options being the volcanic pistol, which looks nowhere near the right way, and the Mauser pistol, which looks totally different. So the way that I designed this was the short barrel, improved sights, improved rifling. Then I went with no engraving, no carving, a darker wood varnish for the ironwood grips, and all blued steel, because his in the show appears to be an all blued variant of the 1911. Like I said, it's not perfect, but as far as handguns go, this is really the only way we can go currently on online. If they ever decide to add the 1899 from the story mode, then that would be a better choice, but currently this is the best option for imitating Eli McCullough. So this is my best attempt at creating the character, and like I said, I based this off a single photograph. I found other photographs from the season where he's wearing obviously much different clothing items, including a lighter hat and a different colored jacket and things like that, but the one I based it off of is him wearing a pretty standardized uniform-looking black pinstriped suit. It's a three-piece suit, so he's got a jacket and a vest and everything, and he's wearing a tie, and this looks pretty dang like it. So we'll go through the items all one at a time. But first, I just want to start off with the hair and facial hair. So in the show, Pierce Brosnan appears to be pretty salt and pepper, much closer to salt than pepper. So his hair is a little bit darker, but you can tell it's mostly gray with maybe some brown or black still mixed in. And then his beard is mostly almost white, actually. And he actually has a decently full beard, so I decided to go with the woodsman beard for it. I considered the Reverend, but actually in this case, I think a little bit bushier was better, so that's why I went with this one, and I gave it a slightly lighter look because, like I said in the show, his is almost white. So that's the facial hair and hair. I think it turned out decently well. Obviously, obviously my character isn't aged very old, so the face looks a little bit too young, so if you were designing this from the start, I would definitely crank up the age a little bit more. But honestly, I think the facial hair and hair actually looks pretty good for this one. So for the hat, this was the hardest part of the outfit, just because the hat he wears in the movie is a really cool hat, and it's something that we can't imitate in the game very accurately. But it's approximately Stetson shaped. It's got not a huge brim, but it tilts up slightly on the sides, and then the crown of the hat is, crimped in on the front. So I think the black variant of the cutter hat is probably the best option we have. Now, obviously, it'd be much better if we had a clean black variant of this hat, because then it would look much more like it. But as it is, I still think this is the best one. I tried a whole bunch of different options. I tried the stalker hat. There's a variant of the Cayuga hat that I tried. There were quite a few of them that I attempted before I decided that the cutter hat was the best option. For the necktie, I went for this variant of the dress tie, and now in the show, I can't tell exactly what color it is, if it's supposed to be gray or blue or brown or whatever it is, with white dots on it, but obviously it's not a tie that we can imitate perfectly, but it is this style of tie, so it's important to go with this dress tie. And I went through all of the different options of ties in here, and none of them looked right. It's not a solid color, he's got a pattern tie, but I think this one down here at the bottom, although it's maybe not even the right color, I think the one in the show he's wearing is a type of brown, so I think it's decent for that. But I just think the pattern on it helps it stand out enough from the suit that it has the same feel as the tie that he wears in the show. So that's the tie I went with. Arguably, if you don't like my motive for choosing this one, you could choose any of these different ties. The plain black one might be the safest bet, but if you do agree with my reasoning, then this is the tie that I went with. So that's the neckwear. For the coat, I went with the black pinstripe variant of the Everyman jacket because, to my knowledge, now I could be wrong on this, but as far as I know, this is the only black pinstripe jacket or suit jacket looking thing that we have in the game. So it's really the only option I had. Now, obviously comparing it to the regular one, the stripes are not quite pinny enough. They're a little bit too thick, but it matches it the best out of all the options we have in the game. So that's the jacket I went with. For the vest, again, he's wearing a black pinstripe vest, and we don't have anything that matches that perfectly, but this black variant of the opulent vest comes the closest. Now, his vest buttons up a little higher in the show, so this is a little bit too low down, but it does have approximately the right color and pattern. Obviously, the leather trim around it is not right, but it looks the most like the vest he wears in the show, and out of all the options in the game, I think it looks the best with this outfit. So that's why I went with this vest. You could probably use the black striped traditional vest. It would work passably well, or a black paisley vest would also probably work, but I think this one is the best option if you don't mind spending a gold bar or two. Then for the shirt, the white everyday shirt is the obvious option because he just wears a plain standard colored white shirt in the show, so I think this matches pretty much perfectly. Then for the weapon equipment, he does actually wear a gun belt. Now obviously it's not a Western style gun belt with a drop leg holster intended for a revolver. It's a more modern belt with a more modern, almost military style looking case for his 1911, but obviously, again, that is not an option we have, but I think the reddish brown Bulger gun belt matches it the best. It's the same approximate color, and it's plain enough that it looks quite a bit like the one he's wearing, and the belt buckle is approximately the right shape. Now his is a square brass one that is quite a bit bigger than this one, but it's the approximate same color and shape. So for pants, once again, I was forced to go with basically the only option available to try to match that black pinstripe look, and I went with the padded saddle work pants. Now on the back, they're not as pinstripe, they look kind of just black and smooth, but I still think it looks pretty decent. But other than that, again, the stripes are too thick, but if you look at them compared to the jacket, they match almost perfectly, so I'm just guessing these items were supposed to go together, or maybe they just use the same pattern for them. Whatever the case is, it matches, and so therefore it helps the suit look more cohesive, like it does in the show. So that's why I went with these pants. You could probably do plain black pants. I don't think it would look as good. You could use the plain black tuxedo pants or the clerk pants. I don't think it would look as good, and I don't think it would match the outfit as well, but it's going to come down to personal choice there. Personally, I think these ones are the right choice. Then for the boots, in my attempt to try to match the boots he wears in the show as best as I can, I went with the clean black variant of the Warren Roper's boots, and I wear them Texas style like he does in this outfit. Now his go all the way up to his knees in the show, and it's not super easy for me to tell if they were supposed to be Western style, but in the picture I was basing it off of they look like they're Western style, so that's why I went with these ones. You could probably use some of the other ones, but I think these ones are the best choice out of everything that's currently available in the game. And then obviously no spurs, because this isn't actually a Western despite kind of looking like a Western. So that is my best attempt at recreating Eli McCullough from The Sun, at least season 1 of The Sun. And again, like I said, he has multiple outfits. This is just the one I chose because A, I thought it looked the nicest, and B, I thought it would be the one that I could most closely imitate with what actually actually exists in the game. So with the guns that I showed you at the beginning, and now this outfit, and of course the facial hair and everything, that is the total guide for how to recreate this character. So if you're a fan of the show, I hope that this is what you were looking for. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.